Good afternoon, it is Colette Shumpert, transitional life coach for mothers who are trying to find life after loss. Over the next few days, I will have 7 options that will help in the healing process after the life of a child, after the loss of a child. Our first one for today is grieving. The first option is grieving, and I don't really see this as an option as much as I do as a necessity that you have to grieve after the loss of a child. One of the key points is that in grieving, you have to allow yourself to grieve, not feel guilty about grieving. Grieving is part of the process to healing. I think it's one of the major processes to healing. Don't rush through it. Don't rush through it, because when you rush through it, then you miss some of the important points that have to take place in the process of healing through the grief. The process isn't the same for everyone. And so therefore it's unique to your own individual self. No one else can do it the way that you do it. Although we have experienced a loss similar to yours, but there are a set of circumstances that may be different in how you have lost your child. But just know that you are it is an individual process. It is not something that is done corporately. So your children will do it differently. Your spouse will do it differently. Your friends will do it differently. Your extended families will do it differently. And so we have to allow them to grieve also in the exact places in which they are and how they grieve for themselves, that they might be able to go through the process. One of the things about grieving is, yes, you have to go through it, but I encourage you not to stay in it. Some people build a prison in grief. And what I mean by that is that grief becomes a prison cell for them. And that is not the intention of grief. We were not taught as children that grief was something that we could have, an emotion. And so thus it is very foreign to us when we go through that process. So I encourage you not to build a prison in grief, but that you allow yourself to go through it. The other thing about grief that I want to talk about today is that grief is something that never really goes away. It subsides for a time, but there are times, even for myself, I find myself at a space where I need to cry. And it's been 4 years, and some people have been 20 years and 40 years, and you'll have a memory, you'll have a thought, there'll be a situation, and you'll wonder, how exactly should I handle that? But allow yourself to grieve. So I say I have grieving moments when it's the anniversary of the death of my son. I go through a season. There are a month and a half or so, maybe 2 months, where I kind of not shut down, but I don't go into the large activities of what it is that I would once have done before his death. And over the years, things have gotten better. But I allow myself that grieving time, because when it's over, then I feel a refreshing. I feel energetic, but my body does it before my mind does, and that's probably something for a different video. But I wanted to just bring an option, which again I'll say, grieving is not an option. It is a necessity after the loss of a child. We cannot avoid grieving. If you do, there are a whole lot of other things that can happen. So I do hope that option 1 today does help in your process of losing a child. And I pray that this blesses you. And if you know of someone who needs to hear this, please feel free to share or tag them in the video. And you could ask them also to like the page. I asked them in this video to like the page. I appreciate your time, and I thank you for listening. And I will drop in again other options for the healing after the loss of a child. It's Colette Shumper, Transitional Life Coach for mothers who are finding life after loss. Thank you.